5 Morning News.
We have a responsibility. We have a job to do. The question is, why aren't we here doing it?
House Democrats calling on the president to order Congress back into session. They want to deal with the recommendations of the 9/11 Commission ASAP. Details coming up.
And then if you ride Metro, you probably remember this scene, commuter chaos following a bomb scare. Now the man accused of causing this gets his day in court. Tom?
And 2 members of the accused serial bank robbery coup prepare to head to court here at the federal courthouse, while the 9th and final member sits behind bars this morning. I'm Tom Fitzgerald of the federal courthouse. We'll have a live report for you coming up. Verge?
And a final goodbye today to the driver of an armored car gunned down last week while on the job.
I'm Michelle Sagona live in Skyfox. We're on our way right now. We're going to check out a couple incidents reported in the Virginia area. Stay with us for an on-time traffic report coming up. Fox.
Good morning and welcome back to Fox 5 Morning News. I'm Verge Schock.
And I'm Gravir Denza. Thanks for staying with us. Looks like we're going to make it to the middle of the week, but we may get some rain.
Well, it's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
We've had plenty of rain already. We've always survived. Haven't we, Tom?
We won't melt.
It's much better than last year. Last year, it was the second wettest year ever on record. We missed the wettest year ever in history of Washington weather by just 1/4 of an inch last year, so things are much better, although it's wetter. Last month was one of the wettest Julys we've had since '75. So, yeah, wet month last month. We had 6 dry days, though. At Reagan National, we didn't pick up anything yesterday. We had a few scattered showers. And you see this morning, we do have cloud cover kind of making its way in along a cold front. This cold front is going to trigger a round of showers in Panhandle, West Virginia, Western Maryland this morning. But later this afternoon, they'll be making their way eastward. So we're looking at some storms that do have the potential to be severe as well, with damaging winds and hail for this afternoon. And then that front's going to stall. And then we'll talk about our tropical storms, Bonnie and Charlie, and what they may do for our weekend in just a little while. But currently, 72 degrees. It's not bad outside. Humidity 78%, much like it was yesterday at this hour, just a little warmer. Today's high temperature, I think, will be a couple degrees warmer. Yesterday, we topped out at 86. So I'm going to go with 88 today, which is seasonal. 87 is the average high. More in the forecast, which includes possibly some very wet and cloudy weather. Good, cool, too, starting tomorrow in just a few minutes. But one more warm and muggy day. And it's a little muggy out there now. Let's get the very latest on your morning commute. See if the haze is causing any problems. Here's Michelle Sagona.
Hey, Tom. Well, we went over to the Dulles Toll Road to check in an accident reported at Wheelie Avenue, and there's nothing there. We did find a white van. It's on the right shoulder, but it was unoccupied. So no problems reported in that area moving inbound to 495. Right now, we are live along 66 and Nutley Street, where traffic does start to slow down right here at Nutley Street. From 123 to this point, it's going to be a clean trip. And then, of course, right here at the merge onto the inner loop and outer loop, just before the Vienna Metro Station, you're going to hit a slow patch of traffic. Also want to mention eastbound 66 before Business Route 234. There was an earlier accident there. It's all clear now, but the delays do begin before Route 15. Moving on right now, let's pass things on to Julie Wright, where she continues with our on-time traffic. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Michelle. More problems for those now in Prince George's County. We've now received word of a wreck inbound Route 5 at Woodyard Road. This ties up the center of the roadway, so expect bumper-to-bumper traffic making their way past the scene. Also on the inner loop leaving Prince George's County into Alexandria, Virginia, we've got bumper-to-bumper delays after St. Barnabas Road, headed for that Wilson Bridge. All lanes on the inner loop at the Wilson Bridge are open, but it is still bumper-to-bumper slow. You're going to find delays on 295 from the Beltway continuing out towards the DC line at Oxon Cove. That's where we've got a broken down car on the shoulder with the hood up. It looks like somebody's out there trying to assist with that vehicle, and that's causing slow traffic leaving 210. We'll continue now northbound along I-95 where lanes are open. No problems reported leaving Newington up to the Beltway, but 95, of course, is slow as you continue from Dale City up towards Route 1. In the district, Rock Creek Parkway at Calvert Street, accident activity just reported in Northwest. That's a check of your Fox 5 on-time traffic. Verge, back to you.
Julie, thank you. Topping our news, lawmakers are reacting to news that al-Qaeda may pose a greater threat than originally thought. Congressional committees are trying to learn more about security recommendations from the 9/11 Commission. But as Jennifer Davis reports, Republicans and Democrats disagree on how to proceed.
Big names in Washington came back from vacations and recesses for a series of congressional hearings on the recommendations of the 9/11 Commission.
We should seize this historic opportunity and move expeditiously.
Members of the 9/11 Commission testified that it's urgent to enact changes as soon as possible to overhaul the intelligence and defense communities and better coordinate them. Democrats are accusing the administration of dragging its feet. Bush officials disagree.
The President has already decided that the central recommendation of having a National Intelligence Director is something he wants.
But it's an existing intelligence position that's now in the spotlight. Tuesday, President Bush appointed Florida Congressman Porter Goss to head the CIA.
Porter Goss is a leader with strong experience in intelligence and in the fight against terrorism. He knows the CIA inside and out.
Goss, an Army intelligence officer and operative in the CIA during the 60s, is a Republican congressman representing a Southwest Florida district. Critics say it's bad business to put a partisan politician in this position.
A person should not be the director of Central Intelligence who's acted in a very political way.
After his nomination was announced, Goss stepped down as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. It's a position he has held for 7 years. In Washington, Jennifer Davis, Fox 5 Morning News.
The head of the 9/11 Commission also says Osama bin Laden may be more of a symbolic figure than actual leader of al-Qaeda. Meanwhile, lots of security is being put into place in New York City for the Republican National Convention. Manhattan residents and those who commute to the city are already trying to steer clear of Madison Square Garden. But bodyguards are there to map out the area for escape routes and anything that looks suspicious.
They're looking for anything out of the ordinary. Anything out of the ordinary. If something looks bad, it usually is.
A few years ago, we weren't talking about suicide bombers. We weren't talking about terrorism on a grand scale domestically.
Security experts will also be keeping an eye on large crowds in New York. Shop owners in the fashion district say they are grateful for the watchful eyes, but wonder what effect it will have on business.
A man accused of making threats against Metro trains last year is facing 10 years behind bars. 26-year-old Jason Foster has pleaded guilty to making a false bomb threat back in December. That forced Metro to close sections of its system for several hours. Police later discovered a package that looked like a bomb containing a clock, wiring, and tubes in a parking lot near Oklahoma Avenue. Foster faces up to 10 years in prison at his sentencing in November. The trial begins today for a 12-year-old boy charged with bringing weapons into a Prince William County school. That case will get underway later this morning in juvenile court. The boy is accused of bringing 100 rounds of ammunition, guns, a knife, and flammable fluid to Bull Run Middle School. His mother is a cafeteria worker at the school. She's also facing weapons charges for not telling anybody that the boy put the guns in her van on the way to school. Two brothers accused in the murder of a D.C. girl are on their way to court. Rashid and Ricardo Hall are scheduled to be officially arraigned today. They're accused of killing 8-year-old Chelsea Cromartie as she was sitting in a relative's home. Police say the little girl was watching television when a stray bullet shot into the house and struck her in the head, killing her. Investigators believe that bullet was intended for somebody else.
The ninth and final suspect in the serial bank robberies is behind bars this morning. Omar Holmes was arrested in Laredo, Texas, near the Mexican border. Fox 5's Tom Fitzgerald joins us live from the U.S. District Courthouse, where two other suspects are expected in court later today. Tom?
Well, good morning, Virgin. As you said, just a few hours from now, two of those suspects in the serial bank robberies are expected to appear before a judge today. More on that in a minute. However, the big news this morning, of course, is the arrest of the ninth and believed final member of the suspected bank robbery crew. His name, Omar Holmes. Holmes was picked up in Laredo, Texas with his father in a 1995 Camry. Now, officials say he was arrested without incident outside of a Laredo Office Depot store. Their car appeared to be loaded up for a long trip. Now, no weapons were recovered in the vehicle and no signs of the cash from those bank robberies were also recovered. However, we are told that at this point, Holmes is charged with one particular incident of the robberies, that one being the Riggs Bank on Georgia Avenue heist, but it is also clearly suspected he will also be implicated in the Connecticut Avenue, now infamous Sun Trust heist, which was captured on tape by a Fox 5 cameraman. So far, no charges against the suspect's father. However, U.S. Marshals officials did have this to say.
Mr. Holmes has been on the run, and when you're on the run, you do desperate things. We're not taking it out of our possibility that he was trying to make his way to Mexico.
Now back here at the courthouse, two of the suspects in the serial bank robberies, those being 24-year-olds Carlos Aguilar of D.C. and Brian Burwell, who is 27 years old and from Lanham, Maryland, will both appear inside that courthouse later today to face charges in connection with these robberies. If the defendants are found guilty in these cases, they could face up to 25 years in prison. We're live at the federal courthouse. Tom Fitzgerald, Fox 5 News. Thurge, back to you.
Thank you. The alleged lookout of the gang was in court yesterday for a preliminary hearing. Aaron Perkins was held over without bond. Investigators believe the robbers stashed the weapons they used in the holdups in his apartment. He's been accused of conspiracy to commit bank robbery and being an accessory after the fact.
Today, the armored car driver gunned down last week in Prince George's County will be laid to rest. Family and friends will attend a funeral for Jason Schwindler later this morning in Millersville. Schwindler was carrying money from his armored car into a Hyattsville bank when he was ambushed. The suspect shot him and got away with the cash. Investigators say a surveillance camera caught most of the shooting. Police also have recovered the 2 vehicles used in the heist, but still no arrests in this case.
The search for a new D.C. school superintendent has apparently come to an end. The Washington Post reports Mayor Tony Williams and other key city officials are giving the job to former Rochester school chief Clifford Janney after a marathon interview yesterday. The city school board is set to vote on the appointment today. Janney would replace Paul Vance, who resigned in November. While one search ends, another could be getting underway. Mayor Tony Williams' top spokesman, Tony Bullock, announced yesterday that he is stepping down to take a job in the private sector. Bullock will leave his job as communications director on August 31st to become an executive vice president at a worldwide public relations firm in Washington.
Ward 8 Councilwoman Sandy Allen wants to keep her job, and she's getting some big money help. Allen says she's raised nearly $100,000 in her re-election bid against former Mayor Marion Barry. Allen's latest finance reports show contributors have kicked in more than $60,000 since June the 10th. That was just days before Barry announced his candidacy. Republican Alan Keyes has taken an important step in his Senate race against Barack Obama. He's moved to Illinois and rented a home. The Maryland resident has accepted the Republican nomination for the Illinois Senate seat, but he's less enthusiastic about his opponent's choice of debates. The Democratic frontrunner wants to cut back on the number of debates from the 6 that he planned against former Republican candidate Jack Ryan to 3 against Keyes.
Instead of just trying to reduce debates from 6 to 4, to 2, to whatever, why doesn't he reduce them to 0? He just steps out of the ring, steps aside, let the Democratic Party choose somebody who has the self-confidence to do what's necessary for the people of this state so that they can be informed and fully informed.
This Senate race will be the first to feature 2 African-American candidates, and the winner will be only the 5th black U.S. senator in history.
Coming up.
Street closings and security checkpoints. The Code Orange terror alert has brought big changes to the district, but many aren't well received. We'll talk with Police Chief Charles Ramsey about yesterday's meeting of the minds.
And then, is the draft on its way back? A majority of high school students say yes. We'll get their feelings on an involuntary call-up.
Then it's today or never. Details on the last chance to see the Redskins at their 2004 training camp when Fox 5 Morning News continues.
This is your last chance to get up close and personal at Redskins training camp. Today's the last day that preseason practice is open to the public. The Skins won their first preseason game Monday night against the Broncos. We'll have live coverage on the last open practice coming up at 5 this evening.
Should be quite a mob out there. A lot of Redskins fans.
You think so?
Diehards, even in preseason.
Probably so. Are they going to get any rain?
Tom, keep them dry out there, all right? Do the best.
All right. Well, you know, hey, that's what they call scattered showers. Hopefully it'll be like in the next neighborhood. But no, we're definitely looking at rainfall later today. Some of the storms could be pretty strong. This is with a cold front, but I want to start out here in the tropics because this is important. This is Tropical Storm Charlie. More powerful, I think, and will become our next hurricane. Better chance of that as it moves by Jamaica. We've got a hurricane watch for the Keys. And then you got Bonnie down there in the Gulf already spreading heavy amounts of rainfall from Florida into the Carolinas. We have a cold front positioned right through here. And I'd like to show you a storm scan, if very possible, to take a closer look at the thunderstorms. These are the closest ones to us in southwest Virginia. Now, as we move on, let's take a look at our numbers. 72 degrees currently at Reagan National. Now, you see the curvature here of the line of scattered showers. Really not too numerous yesterday, but the front moves generally in this area. And then what you're going to find is severe weather here. North of this front, temperatures, Cincinnati, 57, 57 in Chicago, it's 45 in Bismarck, it's even 59 down around Amarillo. But then you've got to find temperatures in the 70s well south of it. This front will pass through our area, but we're going to watch Bonnie to the south move towards Florida. That moisture will spread up the coast, and then Charlie expected to move toward Florida. It could be the next hurricane. I think Charlie would be. And all this moisture funneling up into this area. If this front stalls, that moisture will be here for the weekend. And right now, that looks to be the story. Thunderstorms with the front today, then Bonnie's moisture slides up as that front does not push through. If the front is strong enough to push into the Carolinas, it could keep a lot of Bonnie's moisture out of this forecast. But right now, thunderstorms today, the front hanging around. We knew it would be here, and more numerous showers and storms tomorrow. But Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's going to be interesting. So we're going to have to put some question marks here as far as how much rainfall will make its way here with those tropical systems. But a lot depends on the front and the movement of the front, and we'll have more on that as the days, of course, and hours roll on. Here's Michelle going up in Sky Fox talking about rolling on. Hope you can after you hit the door.
And cars are rolling on right here along the Dulles Toll Road. That's where we are right now, Tom. Take a look at these pictures right here. The Dulles Toll Road at Wheelie Avenue. As you can see, traffic is all clear in through this section for Wheelie Avenue, making your way all the way up to the merge. It does start to slow a little bit right there at the merge onto the inner loop and outer loop, just a very small slow patch. But as you can see, traffic moving just fine and through this stretch past Hunter Mill Road up to the split area. Moving along right now, I'm going to take you over to another traffic camera, 495 and Braddock Road. Actually, this is going to be a tape we shot just a little while ago. And as you can see, traffic is pretty much slowing down on the right side of your screen. That's going to be the inner loop, folks. The inner loop at Braddock Road all the way up to Little River Turnpike. You're going to hit a lot of slow traffic. Then it's going to break up. And then you're going to have a little clean sweep right there until you hit 66, of course, right there at the merge. Let's pass things on now to Julie Wright. She continues with her on-time traffic. Hi, Julie.
Well, Michelle, downtown, not going to be an easy task for folks this morning. We do have a head-on collision, which has now shut down the Rock Creek Parkway in each direction at Beach Drive. Beach Drive is also closed at the Rock Creek Parkway because of this head-on collision. So if you're inbound on the Rock Creek Parkway, you can go no further than Calvert Street at this time. We've also got a 5-car chain reaction wreck. This is southbound Kenilworth Avenue at Benning Road. This ties up the far left lane. Expect delays from at least 50 as you make your way down in through Northeast Washington. Meanwhile, in Virginia, lanes are open on 95. Not a bad trip this morning. Standard delay through Dale City, continuing up towards Route 1, so expect that. And over on Route 1, we've got delays from Village Drive out towards 123. No accidents to report right now if you're on 395, continuing from the Beltway to the 14th Street Bridge. That's a check of your Fox 5 on-time traffic. Verge, back to you.
Thank you, Julie. Terror alerts, traffic snarls, code orange confusion. The spotlight is on Washington, D.C., and D.C. Police Chief Charles Ramsey. He joins us live from our studios on Capitol Hill to give us an update on all these fronts. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning to you.
Chief, you may or may not have heard about this new survey that says Washington is the second worst city for driving, second only to Boston. Now come the roadblocks and the street closures. How are we going to be able to get around in this town?
Well, it'll be tough, and that's why we need to have real good coordination between agencies, especially if they do anything that impacts traffic, and we'll do the best we can to get traffic around, and I think that'll happen.
Do we have that coordination, that spirit of cooperation now? I know when the roadblocks went up and around the Capitol, you weren't notified in advance. Many city leaders said they weren't notified. Is that spirit of cooperation there now?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, that was very unusual. We have a very good working relationship with the U.S. Capitol Police. And let me say that there are legitimate concerns around the Capitol. There's no question about that. But the actions have to be very carefully coordinated so we can deal with the impact that it'll have on the city as a whole, and traffic being one of the largest considerations.
There had been some consideration to closing part of 15th Street near the Treasury building to trucks and also shutting down the sidewalk adjacent to Treasury. Any more discussion about that you know of?
Well, I mean, the U.S. Secret Service is the agency that handles that area because it's right around the White House. They have agreed to work along with us and not just do anything without our knowledge. They've lived up to that, so I don't expect that'll change. The only pedestrian traffic that was affected was on the west side of 15th, right there in front of Treasury. The rest of 15th Street is fine. We are making periodic truck stops throughout the city, so that's something that also kind of slows things down a little bit.
How is this code orange terror alert affecting your manpower and the stress it's putting on your force?
Well, so far it hasn't. We've been handling this through overtime. The feds have agreed to reimburse us for our expenses, so we're handling this with overtime. We're not pulling people out of neighborhoods for regular patrol duty. So my Special Operations Division and an overtime detail is what we're using right now, and hopefully we can maintain that posture for a period of time.
Omar Holmes, the 9th and final serial bank robbery suspect captured in Laredo, Texas. Your reaction to that?
Very good. I mean, that's 9 now that we have in custody that will be soon charged, I hope, with bank robbery. We're still investigating this case. There could be even more. We don't know for sure, but as we bring these guys in and talk to them, we may find that there were more people involved than we originally believed. I don't know if that's the case or not, but we're certainly leaving open all possibilities.
D.C. police joining forces with the American Red Cross in an urgent blood donation effort. Tell me about that.
Well, we've got a drive going on today. There's an event that takes place at 10 o'clock in front of our headquarters building. We do this every year. I think it's very, very important that we donate blood. My father, who recently passed away, was in need of blood, and I understand from a personal standpoint just how important it is to have blood available when you or a member of your family needs it. So it's very important. We're proud to be participating.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck on the blood drive, Chief. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Still ahead.
It's a closely watched murder trial, and we're now hearing from the most anticipated witness, Amber Fry. More on that in the Scott Peterson case coming up in just a moment. Then the man accused of killing his pregnant wife while she slept had his first day in court. The latest on the Mark hacking case in a moment. And later, we're hitting the pool, but not to go swimming. It's all about water polo this morning. All that and much more when Fox 5 Morning News returns.
There's 4 or 5 people in there, and they're just all laying on the floor. And I yelled and yelled and yelled. No one answered. And I walked in and just looked in the bedroom, and I see blood on the bed, and I stopped and backed up.
That's the voice of the man who first reported the grisly murders of 6 Florida residents. The newly released 911 call was made by a co-worker of one of the victims. He came to the home when they didn't show up for work. 4 people have been arrested for the killings. Police say Troy Victorino recruited the 3 others to help him beat the victims with baseball bats and stab them, supposedly over a stolen Xbox video game.
In Salt Lake City, the attorney for a man accused of killing his wife and throwing her body in a trash bin says mental illness will be an issue in the case. Mark Hacking made his first court appearance yesterday. He stood passive as the judge read the charges. Hacking is accused of fatally shooting his wife, Lori, while she slept, then reporting her as missing. Prosecutors say Hacking confessed to his brothers as they visited him in a psychiatric ward. The star witness in the Scott Peterson murder trial will continue testifying today. Peterson's former mistress, Amber Fry, told jurors yesterday that her first date with Peterson included slow dancing, champagne, and sex at a hotel room. She also said Peterson first denied he was married and lied about where he lived and traveled. One's calling to say he was in France.
It's going to be difficult because we have Scott's own words on the tape recordings. Hi, Amber. Miss ya. I'm at the Eiffel Tower.
The defense hopes to begin cross-examining Fry sometime today.
The defense team in Kobe Bryant's sexual assault case is now preparing for a second legal battle, this one in civil court. Yesterday, the woman accusing the NBA star of sexual assault at a Colorado ski resort filed a civil suit. This after reports that she may be ready to drop out of the criminal trial. She's reportedly seeking at least $75,000 in damages for what she calls public scorn, hatred, and ridicule.
Ridicule is what many weather people face on a daily basis, but not our guy, believe it.
No, this guy's always on time and always on target.
My skin's pretty much like leather. Living around here in this business. All right, here you go, folks. We all know how hot it is in the desert Southwest typically. Death Valley, 125, the nation's high. But a number of areas in the Pacific Northwest reaching temperatures near record highs. Portland, Oregon, typically about 75 for a high. They hit 92. Medford, 101 yesterday. Redding, that's in California, hit 105. Even Phoenix hit 110, missing a record by 1 degree. Las Vegas missing a record just by 3. They hit 112. Extreme warmth out there. Now we've got to talk about a couple of things. Storms in the middle of the country. 5 tornadoes in Colorado yesterday. Baseball-size hail and softball-size hail. That's some of the largest we've had so far this year. So a lot of rough weather in Oklahoma now. Bonnie down to the south. Could it be the next hurricane? Doubt it. But it's still a tropical storm, and it's still moving slowly toward the panhandle of Florida, putting a lot of rainfall in that area. In fact, do you remember the last hurricane that made landfall in Florida? Well, that was in 1999, and that was Irene during the month of October. The next one will not be Bonnie, but it could be Charlie. That's right behind Bonnie. Bonnie right now winds 45 miles per hour. 265 miles southwest of the mouth of Mississippi, but it's moving up toward Arando, Destin, Florida. But that moisture could play a big role in our weekend. This is Charlie. This is Jamaica under a tropical storm warning. A hurricane watch in effect for the Keys, the Florida Keys. So this one, Charlie, I think is going to be, as mentioned yesterday, probably the one that'll develop even stronger. Winds at 65. You only have to get up to, it's just in excess 74 to become a hurricane. And it's sliding off very quickly toward actually where Bonnie is positioned. If you're traveling today, thunderstorms in Dallas, going to be quite warm. A number of triple-digit areas in the middle of the country. Storms right now around Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Tulsa. There's going to be rainfall in some parts of New England. This is yesterday's rain. This is a great map just to see quickly where did it rain the heaviest yesterday. Parts of the Midwest, down in the south, Macon, Georgia, picking up 3 inches of rain yesterday. In fact, around Gulf Shores getting around, about 2.5. And we have some 1-inch totals from upstate New York back into Tennessee. That's the cold front moving our way. Look at this. We're at 72. It's 59 in Detroit. It's 47 in Minneapolis. It's so cool up here back behind the front that Duluth only made it up to 53 yesterday for a high. Now, the last cold front blasted right through the area, gave us a nice, cool, beautiful weekend. This front doesn't look like it's got that kind of power. It is dropping temperatures in the 50s all the way down to Amarillo right now. They're at 59. But if this front stalls in our area, not only giving us thunderstorms this afternoon, Bonnie's moisture will slide up through the Carolinas and kind of take this just like an escalator. It'll ride right along that front into our area. Bonnie is expected to be in central Georgia Thursday. Charlie, if it moves towards Florida, could be the next hurricane, maybe touch it, and forecast winds near 100-mile-per-hour gusts. But I think by Saturday, it would be in Georgia. So Thursday night for Bonnie in Georgia, Saturday afternoon for Charlie. And all that moisture, it could slide into, I doubt Charlie's moisture will be here, but Bonnie definitely could keep a change in the forecast. And here's the change. Saturday, Sunday. In fact, it was looking pretty nice at one time. If that front does move through, it could still improve. So a big question mark still for the weekend. But some storms today could be strong, isolated in the area this afternoon. Here's Michelle Sagona with our on-time traffic. It's good to have the crew up this morning. Michelle, fog not a problem.
Yeah, it still is a little foggy and a little hazy up here. Definitely not as nice as it was on Monday. And hopefully your forecast will be able to change again for this weekend and make it like last weekend. Right now we are live, Tom, right now along 355. Take a look at these pictures right here, 355 at Cedar Lane. Traffic light and normal commuter delays along 355 inbound. Now the inner loop from the American Legion Bridge to 355 is all clear. Also outer loop Connecticut Avenue to 270 looks pretty good. No other problems reported along this section right here along 355. But an accident is in the clearing stages right now in Rock Creek Parkway. So that's good news. For more on that, here's Julie Wright. Hi, Julie.
Well, you're right. It is good news, Michelle. That accident has cleared from the Rock Creek Parkway at Beach Drive, and the Rock Creek Parkway has been reopened, but anticipate some delays inbound this morning as you make your way down past Calvert Street and Beach Drive. Now we're going to continue with our cameras. 395 northbound here at the 14th Street Bridge. It's heavy and steady headed into the district westbound on the freeway at the D.C. waterfront. We now have word of an accident blocking the left lane in southbound Kenilworth Avenue, still in a jam from at least 50 headed down towards Benning Road. 5-car pileup there blocks the left lane. Now here we are live on the Beltway as you make your trip passing Van Doren Street, headed for the Wilson Bridge. All lanes are open. No problems to report leaving Alexandria to the bridge. The inner loop, of course, is slowing back before 210. 66 inbound at the Roosevelt Bridge. Light traffic volume at this time. However, we do have some problems as you make your way inbound along 29 before the Key Bridge. That's where we had an accident blocking the center of the road. That's a check of your Fox 5 on-time traffic. Revere and Verge, back to you.
John Kerry is getting defensive. Still ahead, the presidential hopeful is speaking out about his stance on Iran. We'll tell you what he said.
Then it's been more than 30 years, but could the draft be making a comeback? Some say maybe.
I can love what she thinks I can be, like every girl in history.
This guy will not be back. But if you want to try out for American Idol next week, but you don't want to sound like William Hung, stay tuned. We'll get tips from 2 people in the know to make sure you're ready to go.
John Kerry's going to make a campaign swing through California today. Yesterday, he was getting defensive on his stance on Iraq. At a speaking event in Nevada, he defended his position on the war and criticized the president's position. Kerry says he consistently voted to stand up to Saddam Hussein, but that the president failed to handle the situation properly. Kerry added that the United States should have built an international coalition before going to war. He also criticized Mr. Bush for sending nuclear waste to Nevada's Yucca Valley.
Could the draft be reinstated? Some government officials say it may be time to consider it. They say the war on terrorism is increasing the need for more troops. The Pentagon says it has no plans to return to the draft, but as Fox 5's Bob Barnard reports, calls are already coming from Congress.
The U.S. military has been all voluntary since 1973. President Bush has said he prefers it this way, and military recruiters are confident they can, at places like the Mall in Columbia, find enough willing souls to fill their needs.
The beauty of the force, the beauty of this nation is the all-volunteer military. What that does is gives you a person that, A, wants to be there, they have a desire to serve their nation, and the great thing is they're coming in right now, knowing what's happening with the global war on terrorism.
But sometime next year, the 109th Congress may take up twin bills H.R. 163 and S-89, requiring men and women 18 to 26 perform 2 years of military service, or so-called civilian service for national defense and homeland security. Proponents promise college and Canada will not be options to avoid the draft.
It wouldn't be no big deal to me because I would like to be in it, serve my country and everything. So I'm willing. I'm ready.
To me, I'm very afraid. I'm very afraid to go.
I don't agree with everything that President Bush is actually saying or doing about this war thing and everything, but I feel on a personal thing that I would like to go and help out in the war, keep America safe because I live here.
The results of an annual study of teenagers reveals more than half actually expect to see the draft reinstated, though nearly 3 out of 4 oppose it. Brothers Jason and Chris Orem have joined the Maryland Army National Guard and are also going to college full-time.
I was between finals and I called the recruiter, and my brother was coming in from playing football, and we just both, took care of everything that day. I mean, there's people who are just like that, I just wanted to do something else.
According to its top recruiters, the U.S. Army is exceeding its recruiting goals for this year. In Burtonsville, Maryland, Bob Barnard, Fox 5 News.
Supporters of the draft in Congress hope to start it up as early as spring 2005, but even they admit that's not likely to happen.
They say polo is the sport of kings, so what does that make water polo? Holly Morris has the answer to that. Holly?
Well, I guess, Kavir, it makes it the sport where kings cool off. I don't know. We're live at the Audrey Moore Rec Center this morning, where we are indeed checking out the sport of water polo. It is a tough, rough sport, one that takes really physical fitness in order to make it through. Coming up, we're going to tell you how you too can sign up and where you can do it. Live next on Fox 5 Morning News. Stay with us.
A new version of badminton is getting some glowing reviews. Yeah, that's why we said that. Glowing reviews. Players in Germany are painting their clothes in fluorescent colors so they can play at night. New game, Verge, is known as black mitten. Along with the glow-in-the-dark paint, it also features a heavier birdie, which can reach speeds of 185 miles per hour.
You better hit that thing before it hits you.
You're right
It's
about
moving.
that. Youch!
Well, it's been an Olympic sport for more than a century, but a lot of people don't even know the basic rules of water polo.
To tell you the truth, I didn't even know it was an Olympic sport. All right, all of that's about to change, though. Holly Morris is learning the basics of the sport this morning, and she's going to share what she's finding out with us. Holly, good morning.
Good morning to you, Kavir. Not only is it an Olympic sport, water polo actually has the distinction of being the first team sport put into the Olympics way back in 1900. So indeed, it's been played for over a century, but what's interesting is that it's really been growing in popularity as of late in our area, and that's why we are here live this morning, hanging out with Pete Clifford, who's with the Northern Virginia Water Polo Club. Now, you guys have been around for like 30 years,
Yes.
But having said that, we tend to think of this sport as something that's played in California, something that's played in Florida, but now all of a sudden it's coming big in our area and in and around it.
It is. We actually have a lot of guys, well, a few from California, but we have a lot from the Midwest and a lot from the East Coast that have played in high school, played through college, and all the way up the ranks, and now they just like playing so much, they come here a couple nights a week and get in and play.
Now, how serious is this league?
It depends. As you may have seen today, it's a little laid back. We're all good friends. We all get along.
And it's early.
Joke around. And it's early. But no, when we're in competition, we're definitely playing to win.
So, like, who do you play against?
There's a lot of teams on the East Coast that we tend to see every summer. Summer's usually our busy time of year. We have 3 or 4 tournaments. There's teams up in the Philadelphia area that we play quite a bit.
Who else? There's a team in Rockville that's pretty local.
And there's a team in Annapolis, I think.
The Naval Academy.
The Naval Academy.
They have a
Oh,
great
they're probably
program.
pretty good.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Seems like they should be good.
Yes.
But
yeah.
how do you guys usually rank along with the other ones? I mean, do you go to the tournaments and win, or?
Actually, I wasn't with them, but these guys in the spring won a tournament down at UNC, down at Chapel Hill.
Oh, and that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, it's a big tournament Easter weekend every year.
Well, let's talk a little bit. It's so funny because the sport's been around for so long, but there are a lot of people that aren't really familiar with how it's played.
Tell me about it.
So, okay, tell me about it.
Well, typically, as you mentioned, it's early, so we weren't unfortunately able to get all our guys and girls out this morning.